So what the hell even is conjugation? Well, over the next couple of minutes, I want to give you a very brief introduction to what the concept is and how it applies to a couple of European languages. I'm also going to give you some top tips on how you can learn those tricky conjugation tables and get them really solidified in your brain. So let's get started. So conjugation basically is when we change the verb depending on who, how, or when it is being used. For example, in English, I would say I run, but I would say he runs. So we add that S on the end, which is very important in English, but that is an example of conjugation based on who is speaking. Now, English is pretty simple because it is only that S really that we do. But other languages have 6 or even more different changes like this. For example, they might change it for I, you, we, they. But as well as person, verbs are also very commonly conjugated based on tense. And this is the difference between me saying I run right now versus I ran in the past. That's a different conjugation. Now, there is much more to it than just this very, very brief overview, of course. And the best way to understand how the system works in your target language is just to head to the Wikipedia page for the grammar of the language you are interested in. For example, if you go to the page for Danish grammar and scroll down to verbs, you will see that they don't conjugate at all for person, and you only have to worry about it for tense. But on the other hand, if you go to the similar page for Arabic grammar and scroll down to verbs, then you will see that there's actually a whole new Wikipedia article just for Arabic verbs, because there are so many rules and there's just so much going on that the editors of Wikipedia were like, we need a whole new page for this. So to help you get a point of reference on where your language falls, what I would really suggest you do is that you pull up also the page for Italian grammar and compare against that, because I've found in my experience that Italian is a really good language for beginners. So take a look through the Italian page, compare it to the language you're interested in, and see if it looks more complex, less complex, and use that to factor into your understanding of what's going on. Okay, so now we know roughly what conjugations are and where to find information about them. How do we go about learning them? Well, the first thing to know is that almost every sentence you will ever produce in your target language will require you to conjugate a verb. So this is something that you will learn almost by default very, very quickly. But how do we get started with this? Well, the biggest tip I can give you is to never just try and learn a table of conjugations. Always try and learn them in context. It is so much better. Just sitting down with a table is boring, it's rubbish, and it just doesn't work. Instead, I suggest that you take the conjugation table you are interested in, cover it up, and then from memory and out loud, go through each of the persons and try and create a whole sentence conjugating that verb for the correct person. And bonus points, by the way, if you can concentrate on a theme and also use this as a bit of a vocabulary exercise. For example, in German, I might say, Ich habe Bier, du hast Wein und hat Orangensaft, zum Beispiel. And I think this is a really helpful exercise because what it's doing is training your brain to use these things in context. And you're not just learning ich habe, du hast, hat. Instead, you're forming a whole sentence, which is a much more natural way to engage with the language. And I think that makes it sit in your brain much, much faster. All right, that's it. I have no idea how long this video will be until I actually edit it down, but I suspect it's been a quick sort of 2-minute introduction, 2.5-minute introduction to conjugation. And I hope that it was a helpful whistle-stop tour of the main concept of what's going on here. If it was, then you may be interested to know that I am making a whole series of these grammatical introduction videos, and they'll be going live on my channel every week for the next month or so. So hit that subscribe button to check those out as they're coming out. But there's also loads more language learning content going up on my channel all the time anyway, every week. So go and check that out, and hopefully I will see you on the next video.